Hello everyone. So so apparently I'm a dog and she's a cat. Do you want to be a cat or anything else?
I still want to be a corgi.
Okay, so she's a corgi and then I'll be the dog.
Shiva.
Okay, so we're here to talk about our thoughts on MBTI, like in general, the cognitive functions specifically, and then for the past year we've been like collecting information and then thinking over everything. Why am I so?
Yeah, and then we kind of approach MBTI in a more cognitive function way. Like we don't actually think about people in their 16 types. We just see like, oh, I think you're using your TE or using your FI, but we're not concluding anything else beyond that. And then we're trying to see like the pattern between how TI talk to TE, how FI talk to FE, and then how sensing functions can model your feeling or like model your behavior around the world.
So both of us have perceiving functions, extroverted, intuition.
Oh, just say. Oh, I'm INTP.
Oh, and then I'm an INFP, so we have the same perceiving functions. So we've been very familiar with these two functions for the past, but recently we kind of know how the other pair works. So extroverted sensing, introverted intuition, and then we just had some like that moment of truth, of realization of how these two functions work, and then like we wanted to share it with you guys. If anyone's watching.
I think it might be really confusing because we thought about the cognitive functions very personally. Like we kind of thought about how FI works in my own context. I'm not speaking for like how generally FI works. It's just like when I think FI works.
It will, yeah.
So we kind of agree, so there's like
some sort of agreement between us, even though we function differently.
We have like opposite judging function.
Yeah.
And they're kind of really interesting.
Yeah. So I think we should start with still introverted feeling.
Sure.
So also we're gonna talk about we're gonna go through all 8 functions one by one, and then after that, maybe we'll talk about the connections and how one complements another.
Very TE.
But right now, okay, so let's just start talking about the functions. Me as an INFP, I have introverted feeling as my dominant function. So I use that first before anything else. So what does that mean for me personally is like I have like very strong preferences over almost everything. So if you just give me like a example, like a dog, I'll be like, I really like that dog, or I'll be like, I don't like that dog.
She usually screams whenever a dog walks by.
Yeah, yeah. Whenever I see something I really like, I will show that I really like it. And basically, almost so it is an internal judging system. So for me, it's like I follow my values, I follow my preferences, I follow what I think something should be. So it's very internal, and then it's more feeling based because for me, it's just like it would be very random if you give me something, say like an apple, and then if it doesn't look that red, I'll be like, oh, I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think that's the thing with NFP, like you kind of idealize your FI, but I think it might be different for SFP. But anyway, I think FI is like a very quick judgment. She know what she likes and she know what she doesn't like. But for FI, I kind of like I need to think it through. I need to like
for TI.
Yeah, for TI, I need to think it through. I need to do the deduction in my head, and it's like, oh, maybe it's right or maybe it's wrong.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, so both introverted feeling and introverted thinking, which she has as her dominant function, are internal systems, and then I think both of them kind of grows holistically, and I think it's more for introvert thinking. I see more on her that she's like kind of like growing like a huge system in her head.
Yeah.
And then so whenever she finds something logical, she would add that to her already existing system, and then it just builds up and grows on. And then so Yeah, she's very quick to see the logics, but behind things, I think.
Yeah, kind of like that. And then I kind of have my own, like, if her system is based on values, then my system is based on, I don't know, logic or like thinking or like something like truth or something or formula, something like that. It's more like thinking oriented. And then, but I feel like there's a lot of like errors when I try to develop my TI, and I feel like sometimes I kind of, what was I trying to say? I was trying to say like sometimes like the correctness of TI comes in a very, very late phase, and I don't feel confident talking about my decision or like my judgment until I see that, oh, I'm like 98% correct, or like I kind of see the holistic view of it. So I feel like a lot of introverted thinker need to realize that, like need to realize your thought might be immature, or like you kind of need to build more self-awareness into your TI, like kind of like using TE to judge your TI. And that's when I find like TE is kind of like
compliments your TI.
Yeah, compliments my TI.
She talked about it before. She feels like extroverted thinking, on the other hand, is kind of organizing and then summarizing introverted thinking in a way. So it's like drawing the connections between logic and putting them all together, whereas her introverted thinking is more step by step.
Yeah. And then I feel like in a more general sense, like suppose I'm throwing a ball, then
catches it.
The extroverted thinker will think about the results, like where the ball should fall. But introverted thinker might see, oh, there's a friction in the air, and then like the ball is drawing like a line over the air or something. So like introverted thinker is thinking the internal thing, but extroverted thinker is thinking the result. And sometimes I think they complement each other in the sense that extroverted thinker might judge it wrong because like some internal process they don't see. So that's why extroverted thinker might find introverted thinker very insightful. And then introverted thinker will think, oh, the extroverted thinker will organize and compliment, tell me where I'm thinking wrong. Like if I'm doing a linear process too long, then he will break it down and then he'll tell you, oh, maybe this step you're wrong. So I think, yeah,
it's how TI and TE kind of complements each other. And then for my introverted feeling, I kind of know like throughout my life that I like extroverted feeling dominant people. So what I like about them is like introverted feeling, although it's quicker than introverted thinking, so I tend to make judgments very quickly. And then so emotional judgments, so sometimes I'm not even thinking, and then I make some judgment about something, and then a lot of the times it's just very rushed and very it's just a burst of emotion sometimes. And then I do need like an extroverted feeler to help me in a kind of way, to help me organize my feelings. And then I kind of notice that they know like the connections between feelings, just like extroverted thinkers know the connections between logic. So extroverted feelers tend to organize my emotions. They tend to tell me like this could be what's going on in your internal system. They kind of like see through my internal system and kind of organize it, I feel like. And then for them, my introverted feeling is kind of like a inspiration, I would say, for them to add to their system of organizing feelings. So if I do, so they would say something, and then if I give them feedback, they would know, oh, when I say this, people will give me this feedback back, and then they will add that to their organization file of feelings. And then I think that's how FI and FE works for me. It's her bag moved. It must be magic. So That's what we found about the introverted judging functions, the relationship between introverted judging functions and extroverted judging functions. So we can talk about like we have the same perceiving functions, but our judging functions are different, so that results in two very different personalities for us.
Our perceiving function is the same, but our judging function is different.
Yeah.
And then, we can talk about examples, I think. T and TI. So she has T and then I have TI, right? And then we took the same class, and we're trying to make a iOS app, and then so it involves like how do you transfer information from screen to screen, like from
one frame to another frame.
Yeah, one frame to another frame. And then the way I learn about this is to think about the process, like what is this function inputting and what is this function outputting, and what I'm trying to do. Like I'm trying to think about like the information flow between them. Well, her way of approaching the problem is to read about the function description and then try to figure out how it works. Like, what do you need to do? So, in the end, we kind of output two very different
ways of doing.
Yeah, very different version of performing the same function.
Yeah.
Like mine is more like I would say like minimum. Like I'm just trying to do the minimum effort. Like if this function works, I'll use the shortest one, but her is trying to use one function and then make it work for every single frame.
Yeah.
So actually, I mean, like her way actually worked. I'm just like kind of surprised like how we approach it.
Yeah, like I feel like for me personally, I don't have very strong extroverted thinking, but I feel like for all extroverted thinkers, we tend to do approach problems. It's like we want to get things done instead of I want to get it. I want to know the logic, then do it, kind of thing. So I would say that extroverted thinkers are doers, and then introverted thinkers are thinkers, if that makes sense. So extroverted thinking is more related to getting things done, doing work, while introverted thinking is more about like learning the logic behind everything and thinking through everything before she does something. Yeah. So I do see that difference between our ways of doing things, because the example she said was like perfect for
explaining
for explaining this difference. So and then I feel like extroverted thinking is also more related to experience, like it's learning by experience, kind of.
Yeah. Oh, we have one that I think it was one quote from Young. I'm not pretty sure.
Carl Jung,
the
god of MBTI.
My role model. If an extroverted, for extroverted judging people, if they see one thing happens 1,000 times, then they will think that thing will happen at the 1,001st times. But for us, I mean, like at least for introverted thinker, I need to see the logic behind it to convince myself that at the 1,001st time it will be the same result. It's the matter of convincing yourself, I guess. Like, what do you believe, or like I don't know, like what convinced you to the result? Yeah, and then
because extroverted judging functions are very much related to the outside world.
Yeah, it's probabilistic.
So they do see things in a more pragmatic way. So if this thing has worked before, so it has a great chance that it's gonna work again. So I could try this. If it fails, I could find another way. It's kind of like this. This is how I work when I study, kind of thing. And then for her, she has to see like if this works, she has to know why it works.
Yeah.
And then and also when she learns stuff, she turns to learn things very holistically, very like she turns to draw concepts together and assemble them as a whole. Whereas me, when I learn stuff, I learn it piece by piece, kind of.
Step by
step, piece by piece, same thing.
Yeah.
And then so that's a major difference, I think.
Oh, and the teaching style. So we both have TJ teacher and TP teacher of math classes, and then I feel like for TP teachers, they kind of go on and on about one concept. Like he's trying to tell you everything around this concept, and then he will make examples and then show you how this works. But like I don't know, he's expanding from one point. But I feel like for TE teachers, they're kind of having like a tree structure. Like it's like,
Tree structure.
You'll have the first step, and then I'll tell you some theorem and some lemma, and then you'll have another concept coming out, and then they're really good at telling the difference between the concept. Like if a function, then it's a function, and if it's like a set, then it's a set. So they're not ever going to mix that up.
Yeah, that's true. So for extroverted thinking, it's more like we have like buckets of information organized in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for TI, it's more like connections between concepts.
Yeah. It's like a roadmap. Something like that.
Yeah. Basically, and then we can come back to it later. But
this is kind of random. Oh, and then for FI and FE, I feel like for FI users, they kind of soak themselves in their emotions, but for FE, we have this like ability to change our personality according to the atmosphere and who are we talking to.
Okay, yeah. So I should talk about that. So for introverted feelers like me, myself, we stick to our values, we stay true to ourselves, we follow our heart to our death.
It's the one and only Digo Double.
So no matter what we do, if I have to, if someone tells me to do something that I don't think it's right, I won't ever do it. But and if someone asks me to do something I don't like, I probably won't do it either. Yeah, most likely I won't do it. So I basically only see what I only want to explore what I like, and I only want to do what I like. And I feel like for extroverted feelers, on the other hand, so if someone goes to them like desperately for help, they would like most likely help.
Yeah.
Even if it's not like it's against their values, I feel like.
I don't feel like they have like a strong personal value. They're more like if you're desperate, then I kind of like, I don't know, try to be nice or something.
Yeah.
And help you, and then they're judging by your feeling. Like you send out this emotional signal, I need help, and they'll be like, okay, I got it.
Yeah, basically like that. Yeah, so for dominant extroverted feelers, they're very inclined to help other people. They like to help other people, and then I think their source of energy is from like the accomplishment of help, like making others happy. Yeah. I feel like, so that's what I like about them.
Yeah.
And yeah, whereas our functions are very internal based, and for introverted feelers and thinkers, everyone is different. So like one introverted feeler and another introverted feeler could be very different because they have very different internal systems. But yeah, same for TI. But I feel like extroverted feelers are more they can blend in. Extroverted judgers can blend in more, and then because a lot of them share the same values, and
I think they're comfortable talking about their values.
I think so.
Yeah, I feel like if you're doing judgment based on external value, then you're comfortable talking about it.
Yeah.
Because this is what you believe, like everybody thinks so.
Yeah. So
instead of like why we're really quiet because I don't believe that you might believe what I believe.
Yeah.
It's kind of insecurity.
Yeah, basically it's kind of insecurity. So for us, we kind of know that everyone like our types would think differently from one another. So we kind of have that respect for I understand that you're thinking very differently from me. But for extroverted people, extroverted judgers, I mean, they're very good at knowing what everyone else is doing, what everyone else is feeling. So they have no problem communicating with other people because they know that this is what everyone thinks. But for us,
We kind of have the insecurity.
Yeah, we have the insecurity because our systems are very internal.
Yeah. And then what else am I trying to say? I think for me, because I have FE, I don't think it is true that if you have inferior FE, then you don't have FE or you will suppress FE. I think the problem is you have TI and FE judging, and then you don't have FI and TE judging function. So for me, even though I'm really unaware of the FE I'm having, but now I realize that I have it inside of me, like even when I was really young. So I have the ability to sense others' emotion or judgment towards myself, towards me. Like I have the type of like ability to capture like what this room is going on, like what is everyone in the in this room is going on, and then I kind of have this acting behavior. Like I'll try to not trying to please it, but trying to
make other people comfortable.
I'll try to like, if you're saying this to me, I probably won't like directly disagree with you. It's just, I feel like but for you then it's not possible. Like you say something offending, then you definitely go out like, no, you're wrong.
Basically. So same for her TE, she kind of noticed that because extroverted feelers tend to comfort people and kind of make other people happy, but they're ignoring what's right and what's logical, and she finds that very disturbing for her.
I feel like the thing is what you put on priority. Like I have both of them, but whenever I'm talking to someone and then I think like for example I'm talking to you, I think you're right, then I'll choose to use my TI and then talk to you about the logic about why I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong.
Right. You're right or wrong or anything. Anything.
You'll get it. But instead of an FE dominant function, like maybe she will try to approach this problem about like more emotionally, like you might be disturbed or something, like I want to comfort you first.
So if I'm sad and then I'm doing irrational things, and FJ would just comfort me saying, oh, you're not wrong, you're totally right, but she would tell me, you're wrong. That's the difference.
I feel like it's not necessarily arguing with each other if what she's like, if she's sad and that reasonable and that is very reasonable for me, then I'll try to comfort her too. It's just like when my TI and my FE disagree, then they'll kind of have a fight.
Same thing for my introverted feeling and extroverted thinking. If I'm doing something for something I like, I do it like all the time and I always do it and I like to do it. But if it's something that I hate, I don't like, I would be more inclined to just staying stagnant and not taking any actions because that's not what I want to do.
Exactly.
And then so we're done with the judging. That's what I want to say. And we're perfectly done. And then we can move on to the perceiving functions. So we can talk about extroverted intuition first.
We're trying to understand this whole NEXI and NESI and SC and I axis, and the way I try to make it a metaphor is like so for SI and E you focus on. Why are you laughing?
I don't know. You can continue. I wanted to say you can continue, but somehow it's like sorry, continue.
Anyway.
We should cut that part. I don't know what I was thinking.
It's funny.
Okay, anyways.
That's NE.
I don't know. I just thought it was really funny. I don't know why. Okay, continue.
Okay. So for SI, for someone who have SI, then you're focused on your own sensation. You're focusing what you sense, what you feel, but it's what you sense. And for external world, you kind of have you're not touching it. Like you're not trying to see the bare truth of it. You kind of have like a romanticized or like version of the external world. While if you have an SE and I, then you can blend in with the environment. I feel like you have the type of ability to like feel your every skin in the environment. We should show the video of that.
Oh yeah, we should show. Yeah, so
It's like NBA players, they kind of know what each other is doing, even that person's at the back.
Yeah.
And then I think for NI, because I feel like I have NI. I have those NI moments.
She does have introverted intuition a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like I should be that person. That kind of realization, but anyway. But I feel like for NI, it's like more like a trajectory, like you see a thing or a person and you'll see the future, like you'll see what is evolving to.
Yeah, the
machine learning. Machine learning. We have this very good metaphor about machine learning.
Yeah, we have this theory that introverted intuition and extroverted thinking kind of goes together with machine learning. And I feel like our machine learning teachers are INTJs, so I can't say anything.
Yeah, it's like the same process where you don't actually know what is really going on. It's not like TI, like I know every single step, but you see the pattern that this one is going to this way. And it's like based on like external, I don't know, facts or something, or like sensation. It's like a cumulative process.
So I feel like for extroverted sensing to introverted intuition pair, if you're more introverted intuition dominant, then you're more likely to you have a vision about the world, and then like they're supported by your 5 senses that you sensed. So you're kind of building. I feel like introverted intuition is also like a huge system.
Yeah.
And then they're drawing stuff from their senses to build their introverted
from their experience and then working towards that
introverted intuition. And I feel like for introverted intuition dominant people, the older they grow, the more knowledge the more vision they have about the world, and then they tend to be more correct about how the world evolves.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,